All right.
Good evening, Somers. Welcome to the Somers Town Board work session, Thursday, December 3rd, 2020. I'd like to start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag
of the United States of America,
and
to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty,
liberty,
justice
and
for all.
justice for all. Thank you, and be seated. Okay, our first order of business this evening is our public hearing on our preliminary budget. So I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Okay, I have an adjustment, two adjustments to the budget. Well, one adjustment to the budget, and also on our public notice, just for the record, on our public notice regarding the electeds' salaries, the first item is councilman, and it's in parentheses, 4 each at $12,612. That should be a 3. Because then the next line is councilman, deputy supervisor 1.
Right.
So we added another councilman there that should not be there. So just for clarification purposes, I wanted that in the record.
Right.
The other adjustment I want to make is to the town planner line, increasing her personal services by 2,192, which is a 2% increase. I neglected to include her in that 2% increase, and that would come out of increase appropriated fund balance out of the general fund. So it really will have no effect on the overall budget. Is there any other amendments that anyone wants to make to the?
Yes, Rick, I'd like to, in having further discussions with the highway superintendent, looking at his overtime line, he'd like to increase it a little bit, make it more like reality, another $2,000 for that line. I think that brings it up to a total of, I don't have it in front of me, but 4,000 or?
No, it's at 3 now.
5,000.
So we can increase it by 2, making it 5,000. Okay, we'll make that note. Do that. Okay.
Excuse me, Supervisor. Before
Yes.
before you close this, take comments and do publishing and posting.
Okay. Publishing and posting.
So that was published in the Somers Record on November 26th and posted in the Town Clerk's Bulletin Board the same day.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And so at this point, we open it up for the public to have it. Is there anybody wanting to comment on our budget? Paul and Patty and Tom, do you see any emails?
I do not.
I have nothing on my side.
And I have nothing either.
Okay. All right. Well, the good news here is for taxpayers is we've kept the property tax flat. Our budget is at zero. It was a lot of hard work to get here. We're going to continue the hearing until our next meeting. There are some other discussions we want to have about some of the line items. So with that, I'll make a motion to continue the public hearing to next week. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved. Okay, which brings us to public comment. I'll make a motion to open public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Okay, anybody out there for public comment?
I have nothing.
Okay, as has been our practice, we'll leave public comment open. Just Patty, remind me before we close the meeting that I need to close public comment. So we'll leave it open in case anybody wants to join in. All right, which brings us to town board business. First item is the COVID update. I wish I had better news for the town on the COVID front, but I do not. New York State cases are upwards of 647,000. We had 6,819 just overnight. Fatalities in New York, as of last report, we're up 347 fatalities, bringing the total fatality number to 26,747. That's a very sobering number for the state. Westchester County, since the last report, we've had 583 positive cases, bringing the total of positive cases in Westchester to 50,693. The Westchester fatalities are, since the last report, 15 deaths over the last week, bringing Westchester County fatalities to 1,515. Once again, these are all sobering numbers, and these are an increase over numbers we have been seeing. Now, getting down to Somers numbers. So we are not given fatality rates by municipality, but our positive counts, just for some comparison. In November 2nd, we had 22 active cases in our community. November 10th, we had 28. On the 12th, we had 30 active cases. On the 16th of November, we had 42. On the 18th, 57. On the 19th, 66. On the 23rd, 81. On the 25th, 89. On the 30th of November, closing out the month, we had 96. On the 1st of December, that number dropped a bit to 93. And today's number is 92 active COVID cases in the town of Somers, none of which, by the way, are in our nursing homes. When
Yeah, that's great.
yeah, well, early on when we
Yeah.
our numbers, were really high. They were including, employees and other people in nursing homes. So it's only we would get, or if someone was in a nursing home that lived in Somers, that would be reported. But they're doing a great job over there at the Paramount.
So Rick, are you getting any context on these numbers? I mean, aside that, the water level's going up. I mean, and I get the HIPAA thing and all that, but for your eyes only, can you sort of shape it in any way?
Well, yeah, I'm in contact with the health department on a routine basis. And I asked just that question. Can you give us, any data? They're working on providing us with a little more data. Once again, just to repeat, the only information we get about COVID is a daily map, which is sent out to the public, which talks about total cases since the onset and the daily number and how many new cases came on board. I mean, nothing about fatalities. The other piece of information that I get is what's called a shared file. And that is, I get the name and address of a Somers resident that tested positive for COVID. So I know where they are. I don't know their ages. I don't know where they contracted it. And I've often said to the county, look, if you can share at least the ages with us. And back in September, when the kids were going to college, they were all tested. And a number of them went to college, got COVID, and I'm not telling tales out of school, but Oneonta, one of our state universities, tested kids. They were positive and they sent them home. So that was our spike in one day of 17 cases back in the end of September. But since that time, I've been in contact with the biostatistician at the health department, and she's saying, basically it's coming down to people traveling and returning back to the county, small gatherings, as we just experienced over Thanksgiving.
Nothing
So
to do, nothing to
So
do
we're
with
gonna-
commutation.
yeah. No, we're going to see in about another 2 weeks. If these numbers remain flat and go down, then people listened for Thanksgiving.
You think
Yeah,
it'll even be
people-
that long, Rick?
Yeah, because the state in their reporting,
Oh,
We don't-
because of the reporting. I got you.
right? We don't get that data right away. We don't get
It's
that
gonna
data right
happen.
away.
It's gonna happen earlier, but we won't see the numbers.
That's
Right.
that's
And
correct.
one of the things that's confusing people too is the map that comes out. It'll say that the baseline number increases by 15,
Yeah,
cases went up by 4. Because obviously everything's dropping off, but people look at it and go, I need to get my head around that. Because I think
Right.
today it went up, they didn't do numbers yesterday, so today it went up 10, the actual
Yep.
number. But didn't the actual active cases come down 1?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
so.
So what happens on the back end after a 14-day
Right.
period,
Come in and out.
which actually turns into 18 days because of the lag time, those cases come off. So to try to make sense of that, as new cases come on, other cases age out, people, recover.
So they don't show you that. You
Well,
can't see.
no, you can deduce it because
by the number.
yesterday, on the 1st of December, we had 93 active cases.
Right.
Okay, we had 3 new cases today, and the number dropped down to 92. So it's contraindicated, but what's happening on the back end is cases are dropping off. That's why we were reduced.
And Rick, one of the interesting things that people should know also, because it's out there now, that the CDC is talking about reducing the quarantine. It has not happened here yet. I will say that, here it's still like the 14-day. I will say that when my son got it at college in Pennsylvania, they did it a little bit differently. If you had actual symptoms, it was 14 days. But if you were asymptomatic, it was 10 days from the date you got tested. Now, the CDC and others are discussing, and maybe some people are discussing going down to, I believe it's a 7 and a 10-day.
7 is done.
But we haven't done that yet. We are not done
Yeah,
that. We
frankly,
follow the county.
frankly, I don't see that. But it is contraindicated, as Tom said. You're positive for COVID. You're already into your 14 days or your quarantine period when you get that result. So that result, if you had contact with that person that had COVID, you're out for 14 days unless you get tested. So
Just what about just a question about the geography of Somers? I mean, they report as Somers, but we know that we have all these zip codes that overlap, and the governor is always talking about zip codes. I'm thinking, how accurate is the number by geography for us? I mean, how do they determine a Somers resident? Is it an address? Or is
I don't know, but
Yeah.
all I get is a list of addresses. But it's Katona, Yorktown Heights,
Yeah, okay.
Granite Springs, Amel Walk, Lincolndale, Shenorock. It's a myriad. What I have been seeing is multiple positive cases in households,
Okay,
Which,
well, that's helpful.
which which always, which makes sense. If someone's got COVID in the household, unless you caught it early, you isolated, it's going to spread. So
I think another thing that was positive, I think, in the report that I read yesterday, at least, is that the number of cases in Heritage Hills had dropped from 9 to 7, and that's 7 out of 4,700 people or whatever. So if you look at two places that people would think, well, these are these are prone. These are people who are high risk. The nursing home and older people tends to be older people at Heritage Hills. Yet both of those are very good. So I mean, one case is one case too many, obviously, and
Right.
You could be very sick. But that means it is in the rest of the other cases are all in the rest of the town. And as you say, the research is pretty much it's at family gatherings or people over your house, or where was it last night on Long Island? Police broke up a 400-person party at an Airbnb at some guy's mansion. He leased out as a rap star's mansion. He leased out Airbnb. He's got security cameras. He called the police from wherever he was checking his security cameras. This guy, and they had 400 people there. Those people are nuts. So
Right.
it
Well,
can happen. Is what I'm saying.
we're not spared those parties, except in Somers, it's out in the woods
Yeah.
with a keg of beer and a bonfire.
Not good.
And in the last 3 months, the police have broken up 2 of those, and they're estimating there were between 75 and 100.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Hey, Rick,
So
Rick, where are we? What's the number now that we have to hit for the yellow zone? Because when I look at the testing for, like for Westchester County, unfortunately, it's been over 5% on and off. It goes up and down. Is there a hard number for that?
no, you're supposed to be around 2.5%.
Good luck.
And the county, as you said, has been exceeding it. And what the county's been doing is contacting municipalities that are getting in trouble.
Okay.
Like, Ossining and Portchester, as you know, went from yellow to orange. So far, I have not received a call from the county.
Do we know what percentage?
Well, once again, anything over 2.5%
But do we know
is
what percentage?
at risk. No.
We don't get the number of, it's more of a Westchester County thing, so they're able to do it. Because like Rick said, they get the information. But if you look at the New York.gov /forward on their dashboard, I mean, we've been, anywhere from 4.5 to 5.5, and we look good compared to Putnam. I think Putnam will be getting the call before we will because they're up at like 8%.
8,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. So,
Well, our hot spots are what, North Shell and Portchester right now, right?
there's a couple more.
Yonkers.
And
Yonkers.
Yonkers, oh, yeah, city, Yonkers, of course.
And that's where you have to give praise to the schools, because I will say Dr. Blanche and his staff, having a child in the school, have been excellent with communication. I mean, they really have. Every day you're getting 1, 2, 3 notes when somebody gets COVID, what they're doing, what the schedule is. So kudos to them for doing a really good job.
So I've read that the schools have the lowest transmission rates. I mean, both my daughters are educators, and they've been pretty much operational since September. So
it's interesting how different places handle it. And I'll just tell one quick one. I thought my son's school was genius. They would test the wastewater.
yeah, they do that.
If it came up positive, they would have everybody in that dorm go back. They would get a rapid test, so they'd have to quarantine for 2 to 3 days. And if there were negative, they'd let them go again. Now, this last time, a couple of knuckleheads went to a Halloween party and came back and gave it to everybody. So when they tested the wastewater, a bunch of them came back positive. But there were a couple of times where none of the kids came back. I just thought it was a really good idea.
Well, when you have a contained population like that in a dormitory, that's genius.
And he had, up until the last 2 weeks, until the dummies with the Halloween party, they literally had at the whole school, like maybe 4 cases. Now, it's a smaller school, 2,500, but he got to do most things that college kids do, and it was a great semester for him. But, you know, it's just different ways that people are doing it, and some of them are just really good ideas.
Okay.
All right, so that is the COVID update. I wish it was better news, but the message remains the same. Wear masks, social distance, and wash your hands. And you come into the townhouse, you get your temperature checked. You have to tell us where you're going, and use hand sanitizer.
And Rick, we mentioned that last meeting, I think. You know, again, there's a big deal between contiguous versus non-contiguous state travel and 24-hour versus less than 24 hours with the testing that you have to do and all that. So, you know, everybody, we talked about it last week or last meeting, but it's still the same. So those are the questions you will be asked.
Right. Okay, so moving
Oh,
on.
I see, at the townhouse. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, the travel thing
Yeah.
constantly changes. We fill out a medical questionnaire every day, every employee. And on that question, it used to be check to see this list of states, and if you were any of those states, you have to quarantine. But that matrix has now changed a little bit, and I would suspect it's going to change again. So our form will adjust to it. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 2, which is Highview Court petition for zoning amendment. Just briefly, and Saret, you can jump in anytime if I
Thanks, Rick.
misspeak. But Rick Donardo is proposing a 24-unit multifamily project there in 2 different buildings. It is currently zoned R80. And that is why we are discussing the possibility of doing a zoning amendment. So, Saretta, if you want to add to that?
Basically, what you said is what's happening. The applicant has submitted a petition for the zone change. And in addition to that, I issued a memo on December 1st, and it identifies a couple of things that the applicant has to do. But really, they're before the town board tonight. If the town board wants them to give any more details to their proposal, you can ask them to do so. But the town board is here tonight potentially to declare itself lead agency and under SECRA, and then distribute that, and then refer the application to the town planning board and the county planning board, both for their comments on the potential zone change and changes to the comprehensive plan, which the applicant is going to provide me with a draft of what they think those changes might be. I will take a look at them, make any additional modifications that I think need to happen, and issue that as what we see as the changes to the comp plan need to be. So that's really it. The other thing that Linda asked me about, and she may ask you tonight, is whether or not the board is interested tonight to set a date at this time for a public hearing for its meeting in January 14th, which potentially could happen if the board so desires, at least to open a public hearing on it, because the planning board, even though you will refer it, it will go out presumably tomorrow, and their meeting is next Wednesday. They will not have sufficient time to have reviewed all of this, but their next meeting is one day before the town board meeting in January. So they would have all that time to look it over, comment, and then we could prepare comments, to be submitted on the 14th, if you choose to do so. So
And
that's,
when would we set the public hearing? That would have to be tonight then, right? Or next week?
It could be next week, because, Roland, you'll help me, but I'm sure it's a 10-day period. So certainly would have plenty of time, to January 14th, or
Yeah.
Patty, in terms of your noticing, if there's plenty of time.
Saret, about seeker, are you proposing an uncoordinated review?
No, this is going to be a coordinated review. There are several other agencies involved here, and that need to issue permits. And the other piece of this is, in this interim, in the past, for, these kinds of actions, the town board as lead agency has identified what the items are that they want the applicant to study, in terms of what its impacts may be. So there needs to be a determination what exactly the town board is going to ask this applicant to prepare in terms of any studies.
So you're proposing then to keep the public hearing open as the
Well,
planning board?
Absolutely, if it were to
Yeah.
open on the 14th. And if you don't choose to open it and we want to wait until some of these studies are determined and then prepared, we could open it at the February meeting.
Well, let me add another component to this, and we would probably continue the public hearing if we set it for the 14th. Yesterday, I sent out a code red general notice to the property owners on Highview Terrace and the neighborhood behind, and basically outlining, Rick, as he mentioned to us, had met with a lot of the neighbors, met them on site, and got their input. And taking that suggestion, I did the same thing. I invited the neighbors to at least listen to this discussion. Next week, we'll actually like to hear from them on two proposals. So we're looking at the Highview Terrace project, but we're also looking at, there's a parcel just north of this that the state police have looked at and feel would be appropriate for a barracks. They, as you may or may not know, they are currently leasing the barracks that they're in right now, and that's owned by the Somers Fire District. State police do not want to rent. They're looking for alternate locations. So we are looking at that 3-acre parcel as a possibility for a police barracks. I also included that information in my note out to the neighborhood folks, so we can start that dialogue. We really welcome, obviously, public input, especially when, there's would be a multifamily project at the bottom of the hill, and then possibly an amendment that would allow for a police barracks. So I've asked Saret really to study that little corridor between, the Sunoco gas station and just north of the Donato property, for some kind of a, what do we want to see there? What would be appropriate amendment to our zone to allow for the multifamily as well as, a police barracks. So I would suspect we would get a lot of public input between that. If we set the public, I have no problem setting the public hearing for the 14th of January, but if we can collect public input on that night, or maybe we would have to continue it a bit, but it's part of a larger study.
I think it's a great idea that you did the code red. Do we get a sense of people who pick up the phone and actually listen? I mean, sometimes, robocalls and whatever.
Right. So this goes out, I have to check with Tammy. I don't know that it was a phone call. It was a text and email
Okay,
that when I've already gotten feedback from
Okay.
somebody that is not on Code Red, but heard from their neighbor. Incensed that they were not notified. So Kim signed them up for Code Red right there on the spot. So I think we've reached, about 16 of the residents up there. I don't know what the total number of residents, but we'll make a good faith effort to at least contact everybody to let them know the planning process. I mean, and Saret, when we do a zoning amendment, you contact the neighbors anyway, don't we?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well-
Okay.
yeah, I think it would be like contiguous properties and things of that nature, right? But this is maybe a broader, maybe want to expand the reach there a little bit. I don't know.
I think one of the main things is, while we're getting public input, we have to determine what it is, and I will work with Joe's office on this, what it is that we want the applicant to prepare from a environmental point of view
Right.
to review as part of, what the impacts of this type of rezoning is. And, if we're now adding the, police barracks, somehow we're going to have to add that to the environmental review as well.
Right.
Which could slow it down or whatever.
Just to clarify, you're looking for us to do the environmental review for the state police?
That's undecided, Linda.
Sorry, just had to jump in there.
Yeah.
And Linda, I just have to bring it up.
No, Linda, we're going
So-
to make you barracks commander, actually, is what we had in mind. Yeah.
So there's a number of things that have to happen. That property has to be subdivided. It's currently under Sebastian Capital's ownership. So we would have to do a subdivision, carve out that 3 acres. And then the intention would be for Sebastian Capital to donate that to the town. I've had this conversation with them. And then in turn, we would donate it to the state police, thus
Okay.
retaining them in town. So that's the objective here.
I have a question coming through.
Yeah.
It asks if we can provide the specifics on the exact parcel for the proposed police barracks. What is the current zoning of that parcel?
Okay, the zoning is R80, and it's directly north of the Highview Court project. It's before, if you're going north, it's right after the Highview Terrace, Highview Court project, and it's south of 138. Hope that answers that question.
So it's sort of between this project and say, like the Burger Bar.
It's
Between there and the Department of Transportation.
no, it's going north.
Or north.
It's south of the
North.
Department of Transportation, yeah.
Do we have a map somewhere that we can post on the website or something?
Well, you can look. Well,
can
when
Linda, can you put up anything on a shared?
Well, I
view?
was going to say when Linda and Rick, present what they want to present tonight, if there's a map, we can point it out on that.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect.
Just it's due north of Highview Terrace. There's
Okay.
Highview Terrace, this parcel that the project is designated for. There's a driveway, and then there's open land. And that
Yeah.
open land would be just a 3-acre parcel. It doesn't go up to Burger Barn. It goes back into the lot. And we had the state police out there. They would, they were very interested. So, okay, we want to move along with Linda and Rick. You have, I know we talked about a few things last week about road frontage, and I was just wondering if any of that was addressed? Not last week, last month.
Sure. Good evening. And I'm actually going to start, but then I'm going to hand you off to my associate, Steve Rabel, who's working with me on this matter, because I am going to have to jump off to another meeting.
Sure.
But, and he, while I'm talking, he's trying to pull up our submission so that he can share the screen and show that map for you. On the road frontage issue, we talked about the wall and the wall with having the fence on it and continuing similar to what was done up the street. And on the revised plans that are submitted with our petition, we actually show the proposed location of the wall. And you will note that it is within our property boundary, not within the
Yes.
state right of way.
Well, we learned from experience.
And we heard you and we took that. So we did make that change. We've done a few other things, shown the groundwater protection overlay line on the plan. It's important to note and helpful for this application that actually goes through the property. So a portion of the property is not within the groundwater protection overlay district, which obviously makes it easier for us to put some of the drainage improvements, the propane tanks, things like that, not within the groundwater protection overlay so that we can meet the requirements.
Okay.
And we incorporated some additional information into the petition based on your discussion. And with that, Steve, are you?
I am able to pull up the GIS map to share from the internet. I'm waiting. The package that we submitted is a bit of a big file, so it's taking a little while to download onto my laptop. But I can certainly share the GIS map. Let's see. Nope. Let's try this. Can you all see my screen?
Not yet. You have to screen share.
Not working.
Screen share. Oh, let's try share. How about
There you
now?
go.
All right.
Yep, we got it.
Okay. So this is our parcel, 259 Route 100. As you can see, we're in the R80 district with the OB 100 and the OLI nearby. If you'd like me to try and find the police barracks site, I'm happy to do that.
Like it's just north.
So, well, you can follow my direction, Steve.
That's it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So you see that pond, the water? Okay. The 3-acre parcel is at least 400 feet south of that pond. And then going back 3 acres.
Right about here.
Yeah. So, and yeah, and your project is due south of that.
We're right here.
Right. So Rich, when you were talking about the transportation.
That's the DOT. It's the driveway just to the north of that.
This driveway is DOT?
Yeah.
Did not know that.
Yeah, it goes off to the left if you're going north. It goes off to the left just before the water up there. Yeah.
So what, that in between where the state police, that road that goes back is DOT?
Yeah, I'm looking at Google Street right now. Yeah, that's where it goes. It goes back. That's where they put in some trucks back there and other stuff. I guess plows. I'm not sure.
I thought that was down on the other side of 35.
No. Well, there's one there, but that's another one up there to the north.
Oh, very
Really?
good.
Did not know that.
Yeah, it's on Google Maps. Look on Google Maps.
Well, we should include them in the notice that we're considering the project, both projects, because they would be an interested party, I would think.
I'm looking on Google Maps right now because I was not aware of that.
Maybe I'm lying. No, I think I'm right.
I would never accuse you of lying.
Is there anything built on there, Rich? Because it doesn't look like there is.
I don't know if there's a building back there. It says New York State Department of Transportation. It looks like a building, looks like an L-shaped building on the maps here.
So to the far left of the map, is that what you're saying? That driveway goes
Yeah,
back
thank
to
you.
some
Goes
parcel?
across it goes across a strip of land, and it's like on a peninsula out over the reservoirs there. In the middle of the
Boy,
reservoir.
it sure sounds like you're talking about the one
Yeah.
south of 35.
Yeah,
No, okay. I'm
I
just
don't
looking
see
at the map here.
anything.
I'm gonna drive there tomorrow, Rich, and I'll let you know.
So
Some people
Rich,
haven't come back though. It's a day.
That's what I was gonna say. I'll be out in the middle of the trees.
So,
I'm
Rich-
looking at Google Maps right now and I don't see anything.
So
Rich,
Rich,
looking in
look where
Florida.
look where Route 138 is off 100.
Yeah,
That'll give you an orientation.
yeah, I live here. Yeah, I've seen it.
Well, we don't see a peninsula in a reservoir over there.
Okay.
That's all.
Well,
That's all
we'll
I'm
check
saying.
it out tomorrow. I'll check it out tomorrow. I'll meet Tom
Okay.
there for lunch.
There you go.
That's,
Social-
that's a
social
code
distance.
violation.
Rick, I had a question from somebody. Do you want me to wait or read it now?
No, we're having a discussion. You can read it
Okay.
now.
So somebody, again, it's more to do, I think, with the police station, but they say, can you provide specifics on the exact parcel for the proposed police barracks? And what is the current zoning of that parcel, which you already answered and said R80? And are you proposing to take two R80 parcels, change the zoning, and leave an existing R80 parcel between the two of them?
There's that strip, the driveway that goes in between.
Yeah, I'm going to defer to the planner and,
And so, Red, I don't expect that. We don't have, I mean, that's a question we can answer next week. Obviously, we don't have it at our fingertips. So it's something you probably have to look into.
yeah, do you do a zoning amendment with a strip in driveway in between the two?
I
Yeah,
have to say that there's so many things that have come up tonight that I think, Rick, you and I and Roland need to talk.
Yeah,
Okay.
and look at the zoning, because sometimes municipal uses and police barracks, things like that might even be permitted in the R80. Got to look.
Right.
Okay, all right,
Okay, thanks, guys.
all right. So, yeah, why don't we now get
Hijacked our
back to,
application.
yes, how about you? It just so happens your project is next to something, and actually I had this conversation with Rick early on that what was being proposed there. So, he went in eyes wide open, full disclosure, transparency.
Yeah,
So-
I will say that I think we need to confer as to how to coordinate these two projects, both from a secret point of view, from who's doing what, et cetera. So I'm not sure we're ready to do anything. What is your opinion on this, Roland? If I can put you on the spot.
That's the first I'm hearing of it. I've got to digest a lot of it.
Yeah.
Can I make a suggestion? Why don't you, instead of taking, because I don't think it makes a big difference, instead of taking the lead agency action tonight, if you want to take the week and we can all kind of talk and figure it out, and they can do it at the regular meeting next week.
Well, we certainly, I agree that we should not do it tonight, and we'll see where we are by next week. I would certainly agree with that part of it, Linda.
Yeah, I
Okay.
just think that, I mean, we're not the applicant there. It's not our project. I wouldn't want to see us held up beyond this for that.
Right.
Okay.
All right. So why don't you, we can
Makes
use
sense.
this time to show us what,
Yeah, I'm gonna hand it back to Steve because I am gonna have to jump off in a few minutes.
okay.
So my question, are we ready to even refer it to the planning board? Are we waiting another month or
Well, we
waiting at
ha-
least till next week to do that?
We haven't seen the revisions, so it's a little difficult to say. Why don't we let Steve do the presentation or the changes that we had spoken about? And are you suggesting that minimally we refer to the the planning board so they can get a look at it?
Yeah, no, I'm not sure we're ready for any of this yet. I think we at least need some discussions for,
Okay.
and hold everything off till next week, which would, bring the planning board certainly to its January meeting.
Okay.
I guess I'm trying to understand how you're looking to tie the two in together because they're completely different applications with completely different applicants.
Well, we're looking at the overall area for, if we're going to do a zoning amendment. And Linda, maybe if it's a municipal use, that takes it out of the formula, takes it out of the zoning amendment. But if we're, as a town, we're looking at the area, I think it's safe to say that, it's a depressed lot there, and it has been abandoned boats and things like that there. So we are really looking for improvements. And we wanted to look at if we were going to do a zoning amendment, we wanted to kind of look at the whole piece.
Well, I guess that's my question. If the pieces of property are contiguous, right?
No, actually, they're not.
Oh, they're not contiguous.
No,
That's
just that
that's what a gentleman is asking now, because I guess there's a piece of property in between those. And I guess it's the owner of the property who was saying, if I'm reading this meeting clearly, we're trying to rezone both properties left and right of the wooded driveway and create a commercial space on both sides. It's not actually, one's a residential space. It just happens to be condos. The other one is the police station.
Okay.
So it's not a commercial, but
Yeah,
that's what
there's a strip with a driveway in between.
right.
right. So they're not contiguous.
Okay. And that's not the driveway I was talking about, by the way.
I thought so.
The driveway I'm talking about is north of Muscoot. That's the driveway I was talking about, where the DOT is.
That's what we were saying, Mrs. Smarty Guy.
Yeah.
No.
Rick, is
No.
the other side the most northerly part of this property where the parcel that the fire department purchased?
Yes.
Was that also zoned R80?
Yeah.
So I never heard that it was proposed that they were going to come for a zoning change.
Who was going to come for a zoning?
The fire department. Well, it may well be that municipal
Yes,
uses are
that's-
permitted.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm looking and I'm not gonna say
Finding it
quite
yet.
yet what I see, but I'm
Well, you
not
know what,
sure.
Saret? If I would
Well, I'm
surmise
looking
that if Linda can put her hands on it,
I'm
we're
looking.
we're gonna know about it sooner than later.
Well, it's not, unless it's a special exception. I'm gonna go to special exceptions right now.
Okay, I'm dying to see the project though. Let's.
Steve,
know.
go for it. And by the way, we haven't changed a lot from the last meeting, but we'll show you.
Well, we had talked about, the frontage, that it was pretty close to, what was it, 31-foot tall structure that close to the road. And I think you were mentioning there was a little room in the back where you could push the whole footprint back a bit.
So we did not make that change yet because I don't think it was clear that you all wanted that, but certainly there's room to do that if you wanted to make a larger front yard setback.
Right. I mean, look, this is all conceptual at this point, but even, I mean, to my eye and the height of that building, what if the building on the north side was also turned and faced the other one? That way you have two frontage buildings, but it's the narrower piece of it. Just throwing it out there.
I mean, I like a setback generally, but just put that out there.
So again, what you're looking at right now is a zoning amendment and the secret process. And certainly we've proposed a front yard setback in the zoning amendment. If the board wishes to make that larger, to have us change the proposed amendment to make a larger setback, we can certainly do that.
Didn't you say last week you had a lot of room in the back, a lot more than we had thought
Yeah, there.
that you could move it? Yeah. So you had said that, right? I think that's what we had
Yeah, there
sort of
wasn't
agreed to.
right. There wasn't a lot of room, but you can move.
There's room to move the building. So what, yeah, just give us some idea of what you would like to see as a front yard setback.
And for reference, right now, the front yard setback is 15 feet.
Yeah, that's pretty narrow.
What's the setback up on the Boniello development up there?
Mm,
It's
Well,
very
let's-
different because they are at a much lower elevation, so.
I understand, but I just,
So, well, let's
But there's
move
a-
up the street to Rick's project. What's the setback on those, on the buildings that are right next to your building? That's like, okay, you're on mute, Rick.
Okay,
There you
the,
go.
there you go.
the existing Wrights Court where William Ravis Realty is, there's an existing building there that dates back to, late 1800s, so it's only 10 or 12 feet.
Yeah,
And-
And the buildings that we put up between the restaurant and
Scott Drive.
the drive, I believe it has a 20 or 22-foot setback.
Okay, I mean, that setback, and how tall is that building, Rick?
That building, I'll have to double check, but I believe it's 22 or 23 feet.
Okay. I
Yeah,
mean,
I say so. The scale of those buildings are significantly different than these, both in height and
yeah.
length. They're just very different scales.
but just for comparison, I mean, 22 feet back and a 25-foot tall building, I mean, that's not imposing at all. So minimally, I think we'd be looking for, 25, 30-foot setback from 100.
What's the setback on this plan as we're seeing it?
Right
Right now,
15.
it's 15
15.
feet.
15 feet from the front, and then obviously greater setbacks from the side and rear.
Look, I'm
And
no
the height-
architect or anything, but it seems to me, as we're talking in general terms about that area of the town and what happens when we build it up, whether it's through zoning or just piece by piece, but the more that we have a consistent look,
Right. Right.
is just what we're all saying. And it may not be the exact same setback because different size buildings give you different perception, but a similar look. We had talked last time about that with the Boniello project and this, and then a similar setback. I think it creates that nice look that early on Rick DiNardo was saying, as you enter town, one of the advantages he sees to this project is sort of a look to the town as you enter it from the south on Route 100. So
I mean-
that's just my point of view. The more consistency within reasonable bounds, at least, the better.
I mean, I like the ability to have some plantings in front and trees and so on. So you're not just, transitioning from street to, to.
Yeah, you
build
want to look
parking lot.
rural and sort of
Yeah.
country because that's what we are.
Right. You want to maintain that whole look up the
Yeah.
corridor.
So why is the plan showing it the way it is? Is there a barrier? Is there a constraint that we don't see on the map?
So I'll hop in here a little bit. I think part of the rationale for situating the plan as is was really that, and I know Linda had touched on this in the last meeting, we see this as a great opportunity for more transitional development. I'm showing the GIS map now because you can see to the north and to the west is residential, and across you've got office building, light industrial, commercial. So the thinking, as I understand it, was
Can
generally.
you get rid of that square box, please?
Yeah, it's
Sure.
gone. Oh,
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
So the thinking, was we've got this New York State highway. We can move the building further from the residences, more towards the highway where it might be less impactful on the neighbors. But the good news is there's a lot of room to work on the site if we do need to shift some things around. So, this is the time to discuss, the zoning rationale as we're looking to adopt an amendment.
all right. So let me just throw it out there. So as we move forward with a zoning amendment, the site plan, we can still play with that. I mean, I would like to see that
Yeah.
building, turned a little bit and set back further. Maybe not directly opposite the one that's there on the south side, or maybe cantileered in the back, like the back of that building aligns with that road that goes back there. Just some other treatments, which gets that building off, 100. Because that's the look you're going to see when you go up to the Boniello project, is you don't see anything behind that fence, the wall and the fence. There's some plantings, but because that site is dropped off, I mean, these on the other hand, these buildings are going to dwarf the fence on top of the wall. So I think there's a general agreement, as far back as you can get those off the road, is I think the site plan that we'd like to take a look at as we move ahead with the zoning amendment.
And think
process.
about, the plantings and type of things that we would do to create, a more rural transition to the actual buildings. I don't know what that is, but I'm just saying that that's a concept.
I mean, Rick, do you have an architect that's doing this, or is it
Yeah.
just?
No, we have an
Okay.
architect working on it, and we're open to, whatever preferences, the board or suggestions the board might make, as long as we can get a uniform direction. If you say to me, look, you want the buildings as far back as possible, that's fine. Are you open to the fact that then the parking becomes in the front and you'll see the parking? The objective here was to sort of mask the
Yeah.
parking and keep the buildings away from the residences in the back.
Mhm.
Right.
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 Again,
Well-
to us, it makes no difference however we flip it. It's basically the same. It's just, whatever your preference is, we'll gladly accommodate.
Well,
Mhm.
we're trying to get a balance, of course. So you've indicated that there's space in the back that we could do this without really impinging upon.
Right. Now, how far back can the parking go? That's your other constraint, I guess.
Yeah, or can you put the parking on the north, some of it on the north side? I see that there seems to be space there, but I don't know whether that's, what is that there?
No, there's plenty of space there. There's nothing there.
Yeah,
Again, it was just to create a buffer from the homes that are down on the right of way there, the driveway. Or
is
dirt.
there, was there?
Yeah,
home-
but there really isn't any homes there.
Yeah, there's
I-
no
I-
homes there. They're on the south side. What's that?
There are 3 homes back there.
Oh,
There's homes back here
Yeah.
and then over here.
yeah, but
Okay.
on the other side, yeah, right.
We're on
Are
the
you-
right, though.
If you go north there, there's a street, and then what?
It's a right of
That's-
way off Route 100. There's no houses where your marker is now, right?
Right, that's a question.
No, that would be the police barracks right there.
Right, so you could move parking into the area down a little bit lower, and it wouldn't be on any of the houses, and the police aren't gonna care.
Right.
Sure, absolutely. And ideally,
I'll make a comment. I'll make a comment about the parking. Already, one of the first things that I noted from a site plan point of view, and we're not doing details of this now, is that the parallel parking to the building, that is perpendicular to the Route 100, that parking is way too close to the entrance. So somehow, I really think the parking configuration, the way it is not the best parking configuration,
Right.
and it's actually not efficient. So I think that needs to be looked at under any circumstances, and you need to at least 4 spaces from that entryway can't be there. There absolutely can't be there at the entranceway. So somehow the parking has to be reworked and become more efficient. Those several single loaded parking, rows are very inefficient. So that really has to be looked at carefully.
So Rick, this is, I think, what you were getting at also. You were suggesting maybe to turn the buildings a little bit.
Yeah, well, at least the one to the north.
I mean,
Yeah, that-
generally, the concept of maybe creating something that's not so, square and maybe some sort of flow into, that's again. But
Well,
I don't
Yeah,
know.
if you took, one or the other and turned it and made the facade that hits 100 a narrower one,
Okay.
along with a setback, I think visually it's not so imposing. I mean, look, that's, I've seen a lot of site plans, concepts, and then to fruition. And, this is the time to think about, what the end product is going to look like. And, Rick, I appreciate the fact that, hey, you're willing to, hey, you want to move in here, you want to move there, whatever, and I think we need to do a little bit more of that. And I don't know how quick these things get turned around, whether you can have anything for next week. But once again, we can move along the line of studying and looking at a zoning amendment while the site plan is still like in flux. Let's put it that way.
the site plan wouldn't determine whether or not the zoning goes through, right? I mean,
No.
the zoning exists separate from that. And then you want to make sure you have a great site plan. But just in response to Rick Bernardo's question before, I would think that the answer is no, you don't want the parking out on the road, and you'd prefer it in the back, but you would want more space in the front between the building and the road. So
Yeah, I think that captures
The
it.
the only thing I would note for your consideration is along the way of reviewing the zoning amendment, since you're doing a coordinated review with the planning board and you are the lead agencies, you have to gather enough environmental information to make a determination for the conclusion of seeker before you can vote on the zoning amendment and before the planning board can take any action. So you really have to have the planning board pretty firmly on board with a site plan that's acceptable to both boards before you can make your environmental determination. You can't just look at the zoning in a vacuum because you are doing a coordinated review.
okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so I think to Roland's point, it makes sense to be looking at the site plan in terms of what is the zoning going to accommodate, what kinds of reasonable restrictions or mitigation do you want to bake into this as far as setbacks or coverage calculations. And as we go through the process, as Rick has said, if we need to play around with this layout a little bit to try and find something that works for everyone, we're happy to do that. So this is the kind of discussion we're looking forward to having.
All right, so moving forward, and once again, I don't know your timing and how long it takes to do these things, but I think what you've heard tonight is, get the buildings back, maybe show us a couple of renditions, show us, that building to the north, set back a little from the road and facing the other one, maybe not directly lined up, or have it the back of that building parallel to the roadway that goes back there. I have no idea what that would look like, but that would certainly give you your parking that you needed, and not necessarily in the front. So you've heard setback. I guess it's too early to talk about plantings, but we talked about the wall and fence. We appreciate that Rick, you picked up on that, and we'll incorporate that in this project. But I think we're not quite there with what we're looking at.
Hey, Rick,
Yes.
I just have one more statement. Again, I believe it's from the gentleman who owns the lot in between. Because because does my lot now become a potential commercial lot? And hoping or hopping over my property already to get these lots to work is not a fair proposal. So those are just two statements. Again, they're not really commercial lots that we're talking about, but.
Yeah, I get his point though. Yeah.
No, I think so.
Yeah, so without knowing exactly which lot we're talking about, the idea is to do this as a floating zone for transitional development. I think we've made the point pretty frequently that if you look at the zoning and where this is located, this is right on the cusp of the R80, across from office, down the street from light industrial. We think, given the location on the New York State Highway, this kind of development makes a little bit more sense. But again, it's not commercial, it's multifamily.
Right, and
Right.
Steve, just so you know, the lot that he's talking about is 265 Route 100. So that's 259, so it would be right above it.
Okay.
And back here, yeah, to the west of 100, right? He's probably one of those houses that you pointed out earlier.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think it's a house, Rick. I think it's an empty lot. I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, okay.
I think it's a vacant lot.
Okay.
Well, once again, at next week's meeting, we're going to devote some time for the public to interact with all of us. Let's hear what their opinions are. As Rick has done specifically for his project, now we're kind of expanding that comment period to, hey, this is what we're looking to do on this parcel to the north. And we want to do a comprehensive look at this area regarding, if we're going to do an amendment, let's see what that amendment really would look like.
So the areas that are around the buildings themselves, that touch the building, that goes out to the parking lot, I mean, is it intended those are like a lawn? What's the thought there?
We're going to try and clear as little as possible. So we'd like to leave as much natural vegetation as possible, and definitely do plantings just like we did. In the other projects, we went above and beyond what we were required to landscape because we like to create, a green buffer, all around the project.
Right. Okay. So I think we have, we've given you some feedback. I know we've given you some work as well, but, we'll regroup next week, and Saret, we can do some more research on municipal uses of properties. And you guys can maybe come up with a couple of renditions of moving the buildings around to have it be less impactful on 100. And, we appreciate your willingness to work with us on this.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to engaging in the process. If we come back next week, and if we'll have to discuss internally how we put together our materials back to you. But if we are able to turn things around, if possible, we'd like the option to be open, to declare lead agency and maybe get a referral out to the planning board.
Okay, well, we'll see where we are, based on the input from town attorney and our planner.
Okay.
All right. So thanks, Rick.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Steve. And thanks
very
to Linda. Take care. Thank you, gentlemen.
Have a nice
Thank
evening.
you. Okay, our next agenda item is discussion on section 467 of the New York State Real Property Law, senior citizen exemption. And basically, gentlemen, in a nutshell, I spoke with Teresa Stegner on this, and should the governor issue an executive order, basically what this has to do with giving relief to seniors and people with disabilities, relief from having to apply for low income and disability exemptions every year. So to me, it's almost a no-brainer that if the governor issues that order, we want to be in a position to adopt that policy and not have seniors and people with disabilities have to come in and reapply for their exemption.
I think
Is
the
it
one she's
where we saw-
talking about is 1 year, though.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Rick.
Yeah.
I think that's the proposal, is just for 1 year. Maybe we'll go further than that, but that's the proposal came out of, was it Ramapo?
Yeah.
There were a couple of them.
Yep. Yeah. So, I
So-
mean, you know, Teresa says, yeah, they'd love it because that's one year less that she would have to, you know, go through all these exemptions because she notifies the seniors and, you know, and the people that are currently getting exemptions. So, yeah, if it's a 1 year, I think we should jump on that. If it's multi-year, you know, anything we can do to grant some relief to seniors, having to do this every year, it's burdensome, but if they want the exemption, they have to do it.
Sounds
So
good.
there's really no action to take on that. I just wanted to bring it to your attention.
I mean, do we have to write the governor in any way and say, hey, look, we support this? And
Yeah, wasn't there a resolution that we looked at? Would we do the same thing?
I think that's true.
Well,
I mean, that's what Ramapo essentially did. They wrote a letter. I think it's got to happen quickly, as according to what I
Yeah,
understand.
they're just trying to sign on other towns in support of it. And yeah, it makes sense.
all right. So do we want to send the governor?
Send them a
Excuse me.
letter if he's going to approve it. Go ahead, Patty.
My legislative committee has already sent me language if you just want to adopt that.
All right. Well, what does it say?
Okay. Do we need a resolution for that or?
Well, if you want to hold off till next week, I can send you what the New York State Town Clerk's Legislative Committee sent for your consideration, and we can do it next week.
Okay.
Good idea.
Okay. It'll be on the agenda to adopt that letter. Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
Roland, you know anything about this? Is there any position you want to advise us about?
Insofar as,
Adopting this proposal to limit, at least for 1 year, the need to apply in person?
I think it's probably obviously COVID related, but
Right.
I don't know anything about it, no.
I spoke to Teresa. She said that for us in Westchester County, it has to be, for us, it has to be done by, I guess this process takes place by the end of February. So it gives us a little room. For the rest of the state, they have to get this thing done by December, the end of December. So the governor doesn't have much time to act. So he's got to act in the next few weeks. We just don't want, there's about 130, people that get, or households that get this, and they have to come down and renew it every time. And
Right, in person.
we just want to get all that off the table if we can. So yeah, send them a note.
So you want to just then, I'll take a look at Patty's letter of recommendation, and Ramapo will just generate one from the town of Somers.
I'm okay
Not
with
wait
that.
till next week.
I'm okay with that.
I'm fine with that.
It'd be
Yeah.
quick. You can just send us what you're going to do. I mean, that's it, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a simple proposition, and I think any reasonable person would agree.
Yeah, they don't have to be, put a moratorium on them coming down and renewing them.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'll send that to you now, Rick.
Okay, good. Thank
All
you.
right.
The next item on the agenda is modification of chapter 92, environmental quality review. Saret, you want to just give us an overview of that? It's really a minor thing, but go ahead.
Yeah, very minor. It's come to my attention over several applications that people that want to do a lot line change, for whatever reason, giving small or large segments of their individual lots to an adjacent parcel, that they have to go through both a preliminary and final subdivision. And there was a modification in the state secret regulations that allowed this type of action to become what's called a type 2 action, meaning there was no requirement for secret. And if that were adopted by the town, then it would also give these homeowners and property owners an opportunity to do what's called an abbreviated subdivision, reducing their time at the planning board, reducing their costs, etc. So I felt it was really a minor modification just by adding this one item to section 92-6, which where it currently says the grant for type 2 actions, the granting of individual setback and lot line variances, all it does is add and adjustments, just like what was added in the state secret regulations. And that's all you're being asked to consider is adding those two words, and adjustments. And that would allow a simplification of this process, certainly for property owners and certainly within the planning department.
It'd be a saving time, resource, and expense for all involved.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say so. So, Saret, once again, this is amendment to a zoning chapter. Public hearing, we have to.
Lead agency tonight, you have to do.
Okay. So why don't we, is there any opposition to taking this initiative?
Well, you could declare it tonight or you could do it on the 10th.
Okay.
But you also want to set a public hearing for January 14th on it. So those are the two things you want to do. And refer it to the planning board and county planning board.
I'm good with moving it ahead.
So am I.
Sure, that's fine.
Okay, so moving ahead, you want to take that action and declare ourselves lead tonight
Yeah.
and refer it out?
Yeah, if we're gonna do it, let's just start it.
Okay. All right,
But
so I'm gonna
sir,
make,
just a question, this makes the process more efficient, that's all good for the CEQA process, right? But there's other processes still in place. Simple things like the neighbors, the adjacent neighbors have to be notified, et cetera, or am I mistaken about that?
No, all of that
Well,
still has
that's-
to happen.
Well, that remains.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. That was one of my concerns also when I was reviewing this. But yeah, all this does is grant relief for the smaller type subdivision. All right, I'm going to make a motion to declare the town board lead agency for modification to chapter 92.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And further make a motion to refer this out to the town planning board for review and the Westchester County Planning Board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
The other thing you would
Publishing, wait,
tonight is set a date for a public hearing at the January 14th meeting.
okay. I'll make a motion to set a public hearing for January 14th.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Thank you, Saret.
Okay.
Okay, the next item, number 5, is name of private road in Primrose Common. Primrose Common. So the developer, this is his development, and he's making a, wants to name the private road. As we've done in the past with any of these, we refer it out to our building department, our highway department, our police department, and the fire department. So
And this is changed, right? They had already, originally it was it called, they were talking about like Primrose Estate or something like that, and then they decided to change it.
that might have been a conflict, yeah.
Okay,
So,
I'd refer it out and see what they say. See if we, I looked, I didn't see anything like that.
Right, but once again, there, that's why we referred out to these other agencies for, real scrutiny.
Yeah.
All right, so, Patty, we need a motion to refer that out?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll make a motion to refer the naming of a private road, Primrose Commons, out to the Highway Department, Police Department, Building Department, and Somers Fire Department. Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so moved. Okay, number 6, authorize supervisor to execute the proposal from Sterling Appraisals, Inc. for preparing restrictive preliminary and trial appraisal for tax certiorari purposes of the Paramount at Somers Rehabilitation and Nursing Center, 189 Route 100, in the amount of $8,750 per referral from Roland Barone, Town Attorney. Additional fees are documented in the proposal. Roland, is this something that you want us to move tonight, or should we put this on the consensus for next week?
Either way, it's
All right.
not anything he's going to start doing immediately.
Okay,
So
so we'll put it on. Yeah, now we'll have discussion.
Okay. They're looking for a tax reduction, right? A tax cert. And we're going to evaluate the appraisal. Is that what's the property, right?
We're going to prepare an appraisal
Yes.
so that we know how to negotiate.
Okay.
Now,
What's our baseline? What are they paying today?
I don't know.
yeah, well, we went through the same process, right, with the Pepsi building and we started doing it on the IBM parcel, right? Sterling worked on those appraisals.
We could look at what they're paying right now very easily, but this is a necessary process to start a negotiation.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
To my knowledge, they've never challenged in the years that I've been town attorney. So the exposure, there could be a bit of an exposure. We have to look at it. Preparing these particular types of appraisals is complicated because you have to separate out the real estate value from all the services that nursing homes provide, because that's not subject to real estate tax. So there's a whole formula that a good appraiser has to go through.
Okay, well, we're doing our due diligence as far as the tax certiorari goes.
Yep.
Okay, all right, we'll put that on the consensus agenda. Item number 7, authorize the supervisor to proclaim June 14th, 2020, Race Amity Day in the town of Somers. And no, that is not a typo. Because of COVID, we did not have a celebration for Race Amity Day. But we want to make sure it's in part of our record that we declare that as Race Amity Day in the town of Somers. So I'll make a motion to proclaim June 14th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Flag Day too.
Was it?
The what?
It's Flag Day too. It was Flag Day too.
Was Flag Day.
It's always
June
Flag Day?
14th is Flag Day. Yeah.
And will be again, Rich.
Well, it's my wife's birthday. She reminds me every year. That's why people put out the flag. It's for her. That's what she thinks. Please don't try to disavow her of that.
Mum's the word.
We'll be sending flags to her on that.
Okay, the last item on the agenda is a continuation of the comprehensive plan update in the Business Historic Preservation District. So Saret, why don't you give us a little bit of an update of what you've been doing on this in this respect?
Okay, good evening again.
You're back.
I think it's not just the comp plan, but also the zoning that the town board has asked me to take several looks at the Business Historic Preservation District for possible modifications to keep the area consistent with the concept of its historic character. And the latest attempt is for looking at possibly what appropriate uses might be, that the uses that are identified in the current BHP zoning may not be specific enough or may need some relooking. So the town board asked me, the supervisor asked me to reach out to several consultants that might have an expertise in this, which I have done. And two have indicated that they will be submitting proposals. And as a matter of fact, one actually submitted one late this afternoon, which I forwarded late to the supervisor.
Okay.
And the other one I suspect will be submitting something in the next week or two. A third that I had reached out to does not feel it's something that they can undertake at this time. So I think the board will at least get two proposals to review and consider for taking a deeper look at what the uses are that are currently in the BHP district, and maybe what, if any, modifications might be appropriate.
Without being saying who it is, has either of those people or either of those companies concerns worked for the town before, or these are unknown to us?
I think I should not say that.
Okay.
Okay. Fair enough. So we will continue this discussion and hopefully we'll have that other proposal that we can and look at next town board meeting. And once again, this is a continuation of our concern about certain businesses coming into the Business Historic District and bringing with them, a myriad of quality of life issues. Let me just put it that way. They may be permitted by code, but bringing in an historic district consultant, I think is the town doing its due diligence. And should they recommend, changing to the zone and our comprehensive plan, then that's something, we would entertain. But I think, this is us doing our due diligence. So I'll put this on next week's agenda, a continuation of the discussion, and maybe take a look at those proposals. If we get, I'll send out to you folks, the proposal that Saret got sent over to me this afternoon. And as soon as we get the other one, I'll forward that to you as well. Okay. Current vacancies on our boards: Affordable Housing, Assessment Board of Review, Library Board of Trustees, Partners in Prevention. Those are all up on the site for review and interest. We have upcoming vacancies: Library, Partners in Prevention, Planning, and Zoning Board. And I want to acknowledge the termination of employee ADP ID 099458 as a road maintainer for the town of Somers Highway Department. And that would have been effective August 2020. Okay, in addition, under personnel, regarding a Library Board of Trustee appointment, the expired term of Jim Hassel, I'd like to make a motion to approve Michelle Nakora to that position.
Second.
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 All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Congratulations, Michelle. We look forward to working with you in the future. Any questions on proposed consensus agenda items 1 through 5?
Nope.
Okay. All right. At this point, is there anybody here or come in for public comment?
I have nothing.
Patty?
I have nothing either.
Okay, Paul, anybody
No.
in the queue?
Nothing on my side as well.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion to close public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. And part of our favorite part of our meeting is any announcements. Do we have any announcements this week, Pat?
I think we have a few.
Awesome.
You know, tis the season. So
Yes.
She's getting good at this, isn't she? The
Oh, very
enthusiasm
good.
level is catching on.
Got a big smile.
I
I
got you.
know, it used to be.
little-
God, you guys are making me do this now.
Yeah, it's better than us droning on about them.
She
brings
she's
a-
ready for primetime TV, I'll tell you
I
that.
think so.
I'm getting ready.
Or
So
more melodious.
let me start.
Yes.
The 48th annual Holiday Happiness is going to be virtual this year, and it will be on Facebook, and it's from now to December 14th. And you can sign on to the Primrose PTA Facebook page for more details. And they are asking everybody to shop small and local and support our community. I forgot to preface this because everybody was interrupting me that all information is available on our town website. So if you miss something, it's on our town website. The Somers Litter Cleanup is Saturday, December 5th with a rain date of Sunday, the 6th. You can pick up your supplies, which includes orange bags, gloves, and safety vests at the townhouse. The town of Somers will be having a virtual holiday event. So that's going to start on Sunday, December 6th, with the airing of the tree lighting and nativity dedication and blessing. And then Saturday, December 12th, we are going to be airing Santa's Coming to Somers. And Monday, December 14th, we will be airing the Hanukkah celebration and menorah lighting.
Okay, that's on the 13th.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was another typo, I think. Yeah,
We like
we're
typos.
not perfect.
This month we like typos. Then the town of Somers will be having a non-virtual event, which is great that you can come in person, but you have to, respect social distancing. And that is from December 6th through the month of December, where you'll be able to come to the Elephant Hotel and have your picture taken in front of the tree with our rulers, so you can see how big your kids have grown through the year. So that's non-virtual, and you can come anytime from December 6th through the month of December. The Somers Volunteer Fire Department is still going to have their annual candy cane run. So Santa will be visiting the town of Somers on December 19th from 9 a.m. There is a schedule of when they will be on your street or near your home at the Somers Volunteer Fire Department website. So be in your neighborhood and Santa will be there.
I make my 13-year-old go out so I can get a candy cane.
There you go. And then this is a little weather crazy kind of time of year. So the town of Somers is recommending everybody sign up for Code Red, so you get emergency notifications, weather notifications for your area, and general notifications pertaining to whatever goes on in town. You can sign up at the Town of Somers website, which is www.somersny.com. If you scroll down, you'll see a big red box on the left-hand side that says Code Red. So you can sign up there. If you need assistance, you can call the supervisor's office. We are Somer strong. Keep up the good work. Wear your mask, wash your hands, and stay socially distanced.
Thank you, Patty. Very well done. So our next town board meeting will be December 10th, 7 p.m. Same virtual station. It's really a sad commentary that we're this distant from having, public meetings. It's something we've all had to adjust to, but, it is difficult, being in a room with the community and interacting with them face to face is something that I think we all want to get back to. So, Rich,
Rick,
What's
just
that?
remember the governor did extend the open laws meeting to, I think it's January 1st or 3rd or something like that.
yeah.
He's doing it every month.
Yeah, month by month. Yeah. By the way, Rick, there's one mistake on our 2021 calendar. It has January 7th Town Board Organization Meeting. Then it says January 17th Town Board Regular Meeting. I think that should be January 14th. So 'tis the season for typos.
Ooh, okay, let's see. So it shouldn't be the 17th? Is that what you're saying?
Well, that's I don't think so.
Okay,
No,
it's
typo.
Monday.
That's a Sunday. I think that's a Sunday.
Be the 7th and the 14th.
So COVID really affects those people that aren't infected, actually.
Only
Apparently
with our
type-
numbers.
Yeah, only with it, right. It's very specific. Okay, so Rich, usually you tee up Councilman Faulkner for a fun fact. You want to
He's full
continue
of
that?
them. He's full of them.
Roll
It is,
call. Roll call. Well, why don't I personalize the first one towards Mr. Clinchy? And I thought it was fun to learn that his wife has the same birthday as the flag, our Tommy, and my grandmother. And keeping in tune with the theme of "Isn't It a Small World," complemented by Somers being the greatest town on earth, we're happy to receive some new neighbors here in Westover Park, literally 2 doors down and in the backyard. And they are second generation Somers folks who were born and raised here. And Tony, I'll let you finish that thought.
Somebody I know bought a home back there. My daughter and her fiance, they bought a home back on Vermont. So it's
nice.
Wow.
happy to be
Congratulations.
we're ecstatic. We're ecstatic. We're all
All
neighbors.
right.
Yes.
Speaking,
Walk it or at least bike it.
yeah, speaking from experience, that's a double-edged sword.
I was about to say.
But it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Well, it's great. I mean, they've been to dinner every night since they bought the house.
See what I mean?
Wait till there's kids.
Okay, any closing comments, issues, concerns, gentlemen?
Everybody have a good weekend.
Yep.
Yes,
Stay
be safe.
and healthy. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Be safe and have a good evening, gentlemen.
Bye now.
Rick, you got to say goodnight, Somers.
Good night, Somers.
All right.
Yeah, Paul did not cut me off yet, so good.
Sorry. Good night, guys.
Thanks, Bill.